My name is Dave. I'm 34, divorced. I work night shift security at Westbrook Mall, or what's left of it. Most of the stores are closed. There's no food court anymore. A few vending machines, a handful of locked gates, and silence. They don't even turn the lights on, not really. Just a few emergency bulbs in the ceiling. They flicker sometimes, and motion sensors light up the big retail spaces, but only when you walk in. My job is simple. Every hour, I walk the mall. I scan a QR code taped to the wall. That proves I was there. I check the doors. I check the exits. I make sure no one breaks in to steal what's left. Clearance shoes, unsold perfume, empty shelves. But honestly, that's not why I took the job. I took it because it's quiet. No people, no phone calls, no bosses breathing down my neck. Just me, a flashlight, and the sound of my boots on the tile floor. Sometimes I even like it. At night, the mall feels different. The air is still. The ceilings are high. Everything echoes. It's peaceful. Mostly. The first few weeks I didn't notice anything strange. I'd walk my route, sit in the office, listen to podcasts, eat microwave burritos. Same loop, same hallways, over and over. I got used to the silence, even liked it. But lately, something's changed. It's hard to explain. You ever walk into a room and feel like someone's already there? That's what it feels like now, especially near the old anchor stores. They're sealed off, dark, completely empty. But sometimes, when I pass by one of the gates, I hear things. Footsteps. Soft ones. Too soft to be a person. And once, I heard something fall. Just a quiet clatter, like plastic hitting the ground. I told myself it was nothing. Old buildings make noise. Maybe a rat knocked something over. Maybe the pipes shifted. Maybe. Still, I started paying more attention. I stopped wearing headphones. Started walking slower. And that's when I noticed the mannequins. There's one store near the edge of the mall. A fashion place, old signage, dusty windows. I think it was called Marlene's. That store has been shut for years, covered in grime. Nothing inside but racks and shadows. But last Tuesday, I passed the north wing. That wing's been sealed since 2019. Roof leaks, mold, unsafe. Management told me not to go near it. They said the gates are locked. But that night, one of them was open, just a little, maybe 3 inches. I stopped and looked inside, and that's when I saw them. Mannequins. In the front window. 6 of them. One had no head. I remember thinking it looked stupid. No head, but wearing a turtleneck. I kept walking. Didn't think much of it at the time, but the next night, there were 7. There's a wing on the north side of Westbrook Mall. It's been closed since 2019. Leaks in the ceiling. Water damage. Black mold. Something about asbestos too. I remember asking my supervisor about it when I first started. He just shook his head and said, "That whole section's off limits. Don't waste your time." We sealed it up. And for a while, I didn't. The gate was always chained shut. Big rusted padlock. Thick metal bar across the doors. Nothing back there but boarded storefronts and warning signs. But last Tuesday night, something changed. It was just after 2 in the morning. I'd finished logging my 3rd round. I was walking past the usual spots. Escalators. The old candle shop. A closed-down smoothie kiosk that still smells like fruit syrup. Then, I glanced toward the north corridor, and I froze. The chain on the gate, it was gone. The doors, pulled just slightly apart, maybe 3-4 inches of space, enough for someone to slip through. Enough to see what was inside. I stepped closer, just a few feet. I didn't go in, not yet. I leaned forward and looked through the gap. Inside, everything was dark, no power, just a faint red glow coming from a broken exit sign. It flickered slowly, like it was breathing. And just beyond that, illuminated in patches of shadow and light, was the window of an old high-on boutique. The sign above it was cracked and faded, but I could still read part of the name. Marlene's. I'd passed it dozens of times from the outside. Just another forgotten store. Generic clothes, empty racks, nothing worth remembering. But that night, something made me look closer. The display window wasn't empty. There were mannequins inside, 6 of them, arranged in a loose arc, posed like they were modeling something, but the clothes were faded and stained. Dust clung to the fabric. One of them had no head. That one stood at the end of the line. It was dressed in a beige turtleneck and long gray slacks, hands at its sides, torso slightly turned toward the glass. I remember staring at it for a while, not because it was scary, not yet, but because it felt wrong, like it had been placed there for me to see, like it knew I was coming. I shook the thought off, took out my phone, snapped a picture, then I backed away, went back to my route, logged the next checkpoint. Didn't think about it again until the following night. Same time, same route. I walked past the north wing, out of habit, not because I needed to. And the gate was still open, still just a crack. I stepped up, peered inside. This time, something was different. I looked at Marlene's display again. There were 7 mannequins, 7. I counted them twice to be sure. The new one stood at the far right, near the edge of the window, bare plastic feet on a cracked tile floor. And the headless one? It had moved, only slightly. The shoulders were rotated now. The arms had shifted too, just a little, but enough to notice. I blinked, looked again. Nothing had changed, or maybe it had. I felt that sensation again, pressure, like the air in the store was heavier than it should be, like the space wasn't empty. I took another photo, same angle, same distance. Then I walked away. Halfway through my route, I stopped and checked the image, and something about it made my skin crawl. In the photo, all the mannequins looked normal, in place, still, but in the reflection on the glass, just faintly, I could see a shadow that didn't belong to me. It was taller, too thin, standing just behind the headless mannequin. There was nothing there when I took the picture. At least, nothing I could see. But the camera had picked up something else. I deleted the photo. I don't know why. I just didn't want it on my phone. After that, I started to avoid the north wing, but it didn't matter, because the mannequins, they didn't stay behind the glass. By Friday night, I started keeping track. Every patrol, I'd stop outside Marlene's and take a photo. Same spot, same distance, same framing. I wanted proof, or maybe I just wanted to see if I was imagining things. Night 1. 6 mannequins. Headless, 1 on the left. Night 2. 7. 1 new figure. Headless 1 now near the middle. Night 3. 8. This time, the headless one was closer to the glass. Hands up, palms pressed together like it was praying. That night, something else changed too. The others, they had their heads turned toward the headless one. All of them. Like they were watching it. That detail chilled me more than I expected. I started to wonder if someone was messing with me. Another guard. Maybe one of the overnight maintenance guys. But there's only one other key holder for that wing, and it's locked in the office safe. I checked. No one signed it out, and the chain that kept the gate closed, still missing. By Saturday, I was obsessing. I didn't want to be, but every time I tried to focus on something else, a podcast, a snack, even just walking the floor, I found myself drifting back to that dark corridor. I told myself I wasn't going in. Just one more look. I stepped through the gate, walked down the hallway. My flashlight cut across dust-covered tiles and peeling signs. The air was dry, stale, like an attic that hadn't been opened in years. Marlene sat at the end of the corridor, its window still smeared with grime. The mannequins were inside, waiting. I hesitated. Then, I stepped in. Just past the threshold, my boots creaked against the floor. Something crunched underfoot. I didn't look to see what. I was maybe 5 feet from the front window. The mannequins stood frozen behind the glass. Closer now. I could see details I'd missed before. Honor, cracks in their arms, scratches on their legs, faint marks around their wrists, like pressure rings, as if something had been tied around them long ago. I walked up to the headless one, looked straight at it. Its posture was different again. It was facing me, not just turned slightly, not just angled. The whole torso had shifted. Shoulders square, arms down. It was like it had moved. Just enough to make you doubt it. I took out my phone, opened the camera, raised it, snapped a shot. Then I looked at the screen. There were no mannequins in the photo. None. The store was empty. No shapes. No shadows. Just racks, wall, dust. I blinked, raised my head. They were still there. All of them. I looked down at the photo again. Still nothing. I backed out of the doorway. Fast. Nearly dropped my phone. Then I raised the camera once more and snapped another picture. From outside the store this time. And now they were back. Visible again. Same positions, same stances, except one thing had changed. The headless mannequin? It was pressed against the glass. Face? Or where the face should be, just inches from the window. Hands splayed out. One on the glass, one curled into a loose fist. I stepped away. The mall was silent, still. But something inside me said, "You're not alone anymore." That night, I didn't finish my rounds. I scanned the bare minimum, then returned to the office, locked the door, turned off the lights, sat in the chair and watched the monitors. And even though the camera feed didn't cover the north wing, I stared at that black corner of the screen for a long time. I didn't sleep, didn't eat. I just kept checking the photos. Each time I opened them, I thought I'd see something new. A shadow, a shift, a figure in the reflection behind me, but they stayed the same. Still, wrong, alive. I told myself I wouldn't go back down there, but Sunday was coming, and I already knew they were waiting for me. Sunday night, I didn't want to go in. I sat in the security office for over an hour, watched the time crawl by, tried to distract myself, made a cup of coffee, scrolled through old messages, even cleaned out my desk drawer, but eventually, the clock struck 2. That's when the third patrol starts. I stood up, took the flashlight, walked out into the dark. The mall was quiet, more than usual. No hum from the vending machines, no buzz from the lights, just stillness. When I reached the corner near the north wing, I stopped. My hands were sweating, my stomach felt tight. I turned the flashlight on and aimed it toward the gate. It was wide open, not cracked, not barely ajar, fully open, like it was waiting for me. I stepped through. Each footstep echoed off the walls. The sound came back slower than it should have, like something thick hung in the air. I passed the old juice kiosk, the shattered phone repair booth, turned the corner, and saw the store, Marlene's. But this time, something was different. The display window was dark. No flicker from the exit sign, no faint red light, just pitch black. I stopped, waited, looked for movement. Nothing. Then a tiny blink of red appeared in the shadows. High up near the ceiling, tucked into the corner of the store. A motion sensor. It had activated. That shouldn't be possible. The lights in that wing have been disconnected for years. The only working sensors are in the main corridors. But this one blinked. Twice. Then stayed red. Something had moved in there. I took out my phone, opened the camera, zoomed in, snapped a photo, and when I looked at it, one of the mannequins had moved out of the display window. It was in the hallway now, right in front of the glass, closer to me. Its body was angled sideways, like it had just turned the corner. One foot ahead of the other, one arm raised, fingers slightly curled. I hadn't seen it move, hadn't blinked, but it was there now, undeniably closer. I lowered the phone, looked with my own eyes. It was there, no mistake. I stood frozen for maybe a full minute, heart pounding. Then I whispered out loud, mostly to myself, "Okay, screw this. Okay, screw this." I turned around and started walking. Not fast, not running, just steady, measured. But as I turned to the corner, I heard something behind me. Footsteps. Slow, hollow. 1, 2, 3. Then silence. I spun back around. Nothing. Just the hallway. But now, there were 2 mannequins, standing side by side, not in the window, in the corridor, still, upright, facing me. Both were turned at the same slight angle, shoulders forward, like they were stepping toward the direction I had just gone, like they were following my route. I backed up, held the flashlight tight, swallowed hard, then turned again, and walked faster, all the way back to the office. I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't breathe until the door was shut. Inside, I locked the deadbolt, sat down in front of the monitors, and stared at the black and white feed from the main hallways. The north wing wasn't on any of the working cameras. Too old. Wiring was cut years ago. But as I sat there, something strange happened. The lights near the north gate blinked on, only for a second, just enough for the motion sensors to trigger, and then they went dark again. A second later, the gate doors swung slowly shut. No wind, no draft, just two heavy metal doors closing in perfect sync. Click, back in place. But I knew the mannequins weren't behind the glass anymore. They were out, in the hallway, moving, and I was starting to think they weren't mannequins at all. I didn't sleep Sunday night, didn't even try. I stayed in the office. Lights office. The door locked, back pressed to the chair like that would somehow keep me safe. I watched the monitors for hours. No movement, just flickers, static. Glitches that I wanted to blame on old wiring. But my shift ended at 6. And as soon as the day guard came in, I logged off. Said I was sick. Drove home with the windows up, music off, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every few seconds. But instead of crashing into bed, I did something else. I copied the backup security footage from the weekend onto a USB. I told myself it was just to clear my head, to rule things out, to get some answers. I didn't expect to find any, but I was wrong. I loaded the files on my laptop and jumped ahead to the night of Saturday into Sunday. 2:14 a.m. That was the moment I remembered most clearly. When I passed by Marlene's and saw the headless mannequin near the glass. On screen, I watched myself walk past the store. Flashlight in hand. Eyes forward. Normal patrol. But then, the camera caught something else. Mr. Myron. 4 seconds after I left the frame, one of the mannequins moved. Not shifted, not slumped, moved. It stepped forward, not smoothly, not like a person, but frame by frame, like a stop-motion puppet. Its arms bent at unnatural angles. Its knees didn't bend at all, just a stiff forward lean dragging its legs along. It crossed the floor of the display window and disappeared just off camera. I rewound the footage, played it again. Same thing. One mannequin, walking. I felt my skin go cold, but I kept watching. A minute later, another one moved. This time, it turned. Just the upper body. Its torso rotated until the head was facing the front of the display, right at the glass. Then the arms lifted, slow and mechanical, until both palms pressed flat against the window. Like it was trying to feel through it, like it knew I had been standing there. I checked the timestamps. Each motion lasted only a few seconds, but they were deliberate. Not random, not a trick of light. And then, in the final clip, around 2:27 a.m., something else happened. One of the mannequins turned its head toward the camera, and it smiled, a full grin. Painted lips pulled wider than they had been in the frame before. White plastic teeth showing through. I paused the video, stared at the screen. Told myself it had to be a reflection, a lighting glitch, maybe a digital overlay from some old retail software. But I went back to the earlier frames. The mouth was closed before, no teeth. Then, it wasn't. And in that final frame, the eyes, those dead, featureless circles, were looking right into the lens, right at me. I slammed the laptop shut, backed away. It was daylight outside, bright, warm, calm. But I felt like I was still in that hallway, still being watched, still not alone. I should have called someone, my boss, the cops, anyone. But what was I going to say? "Excuse me, sir, your store mannequins are alive and taking midnight walks?" They'd laugh. Or worse, they'd ask for a drug test. So I told myself to forget it. Tried to, did everything I could to act normal, but I knew something was wrong. And I knew Monday night would be worse. Because I had one more shift to cover. and I had the sick feeling that they were expecting me. I haven't told management. I almost did. Monday morning, I sat in the break room, coffee in hand, trying to work up the nerve. My supervisor walked in, asked how my weekend shift went. I opened my mouth and said it was quiet. What else could I say? That I caught mannequins on camera, walking, that one of them smiled? He wouldn't believe me. No one would. They've already written that whole wing off anyway, said it's being demolished next month. Doesn't matter what's in there, he joked. By this time next year, it'll be a parking lot. Maybe it's better that way. Burn it all down, bury it under concrete, but I couldn't let it go. Not yet. Because Monday night was my last shift. After that, I'd be transferred to a distribution center on the other side of town. No overnight patrols, no dark corridors, no mannequins. I should have been relieved, but something inside me said I needed to see it one more time, just once. Not to be brave, not to conquer fear, to understand. I clocked in like normal, walked the usual patrol, avoided the north wing until my final round. Then, just before 3 a.m., I turned down the hallway one last time. The gate was open. I didn't hesitate. I walked forward. Every light in the corridor was off, but as I stepped deeper in, one by one, the motion sensors began to blink red. A path leading me forward, toward Marlene's. And there they were, waiting, 12 mannequins, all of them, standing outside the storefront, lined up in 2 neat rows, like an honor guard at a funeral. Each one posed mid-step, some with arms out, some looking skyward. One knelt, like it had collapsed mid-prayer. I stared at them for a long time. They didn't move, didn't blink. But the longer I looked, the more certain I became. They knew me. They'd been watching this whole time, learning me, studying me, and tonight they weren't hiding anymore. I pulled out my phone, started filming. The camera blinked on, the screen lit up, and that's when the lights went out. Not flickered, not dimmed, out. Total blackness. I froze, couldn't even see my hands. It lasted maybe 2 seconds, maybe 3, then the hallway lights snapped back on, all at once, and they were gone. Every mannequin, gone. No shadows, no shapes. The hallway was empty. I stepped closer to the storefront. The window was different. The grime had been wiped away, just one streak, and written across the inside of the glass in long, smeared letters. Like someone had used their finger through black dust. Were 5 words. Thank you for watching us. No signature, no logo. Just that. I backed away, turned and left, didn't look over my shoulder, didn't speak, didn't breathe until I was back in the office. I finished my shift in silence, didn't check the cameras, didn't clock the final patrol. At 6 sharp, I left my badge on the desk and walked out the front doors for the last time. But I don't think they stayed behind. I think they followed me. I keep my closet door shut now. Don't ask why. I just do. I unplugged the hallway mirror, took down the coat rack, gave away the dress form I used for photography. I can't look at anything that stands upright in the dark, because sometimes, late at night, I swear I hear movement, just outside the bedroom. Plastic tapping, slow footsteps, and every morning when I wake up, there's something new by the window. A scuff mark on the floor, a faint handprint on the glass. Once, the smell of old perfume. They're not in the mall anymore. They found someplace new, and I think they're still waiting. Only now, they're waiting for you.